Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Cooking with Grandma. Today we are going to be making chicken cordon bleu casserole. Now if any of y'all have ever made chicken cordon bleu, you know what it is. You take a chicken breast, you pound it or slice it till it's really thin. You put a piece of ham and Swiss cheese or cheddar cheese, whichever you prefer, and roll it up, hold it together with toothpicks and bake it. So this is kind of like the same idea, but it is in a casserole form. So you're getting everything in one, and it's a little step-by-step kind of thing, and a little bit of a time-consuming recipe, but it's really, really good. I've made it before. So I've got it calls for 4 chicken breasts that are fully cooked. I've got my chicken breast cooking right now, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to grate some cheese. It calls for 2 1/4 cups of cheese. We're just going to use cheddar cheese, and I'm going to grate that on a plate because we're going to layer it. And then we have ham, and it's just your lunch meat ham. It's not anything special. So I'm going to go ahead and grate my cheese while my chicken is cooking. This is the kind of thing you want to do in steps. You can do one thing while one thing is doing. Like the chicken is cooking, so I can grate the cheese and measure out the rest of my ingredients and get my pan is ready. It's a 9 by 13 pan. I've got it greased and ready to go. My oven is preheating to 350. So it's butter and ham and grated cheese and chicken breast, breadcrumbs, flour, milk, chicken broth, mustard, and my dog was going crazy over there, cayenne pepper, and salt and pepper. You know, I don't have cayenne. I just didn't realize I needed it, but it's okay. It's only a 1/2 teaspoon. That is an optional ingredient, but I'm going to use paprika because it's a good taste and it'll give it a little bit of the flavor. So there is, let's see, I'm going to get my measuring cup out and see how close that is. I laid out all my ingredients, but I didn't get out all my utensils. I'm just going to give my chicken breast a quick stir here because they're cooking. And I don't want them to burn. It's sticking a little bit to the bottom. It calls for 6 tablespoons of butter in the recipe, so 1 tablespoon goes into the pan to cook your chicken breast in. And then you use the other 5 tablespoons later on in the recipe. So they're cooking up really nicely. So now let's see how much I got here. You want to just measure it out. It called for 2 1/4 cups of grated cheese, and I've got I got 1 cup, so I got to do a little more. That was 1 cup of cheese. I grabbed the wrong measuring cup. I thought I grabbed my 2 cup recipe measuring cup. So that's all right. We'll get the bigger one out and go ahead and pour it in there and grate some more. There's the oven telling me it's ready. There we go. Just gonna put this in. They're both glass. I just got this new Pyrex one, the 1 cup version of the glass one, and I just grabbed it because I saw the glass measuring cup. You know, they both kind of look alike, just smaller. But anyway, okay, so we're going to carry on grating the cheese. So basically what you're going to do, I'm going to read the instructions as I'm doing this here. You grate your cheese, you put 1/3 of the chicken in a layer on the bottom of the pan. Then you top it with 1/2 of the ham, which it calls for 2 cups. And it's just lunch meat. You just cut it. You just chunk it up into 2 cups and slice it up. You put 1/2 of the ham, then you put 1/4 of the cheese, and then you repeat one more time and you finish with the chicken. So then you melt the last 5 tablespoons of butter, put crumbs in a bowl, breadcrumbs, add 1/2 of the butter, mix it, set it aside, then you add flour to the rest of the butter, whisk out any lumps, stir in milk, broth, mustard, cayenne, salt, and pepper, and you cook until it gets thick. So you just need a little saucepan. Alright, so let's see how I've got here. There's my 2 cups. So I just need a little bit more because I need 2 1/4 cups. I'm just going to go ahead and finish grating. This is not a hard recipe, and it does have a fair amount of ingredients, but it's once you get it all put together, it's good. So there we go. There's a 2 1/4 cups of grated cheese. Set that aside. Give my chicken another stir. You want to try to make sure that your chicken is all cut the same size cubes, because that'll help it cook evenly and cook all together. It doesn't matter if it's not completely cooked through. You want it most of the way cooked, but it is going to go into the oven. So if it's not all the way cooked through, it's not going to hurt because it still has cooking time to go. You do want it most of the way cooked. Okay, so I've got my chicken, or my cheese all grated. So I'm going to get my pan, and now it calls for 1/3 of the chicken. Now it was 4 cooked chicken breasts. So depending on the size, you know, I guess that's what you judge by. But these were all the same size breasts, and I cut it up. So I'm going to take 1/3. You'd think because you're only doing 2 layers that you do half, but that's what it calls for 1/3. So it's not going to cover the whole entire bottom of the pan. Because you want some more for the topping. I am going to cut up a few of these. I see they are a little bigger than I wanted them, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut them a little bit smaller chunks. If you cut them in smaller chunks, it actually, you know, it stretches out the chicken further. You get more. Plus, it cooks better when they're smaller. I'm just going to cut these up. For some pieces, they are the same size, but when I looked at them after I poured them in the pan, I decided they were too big. So I'm just going to go ahead and chunk these up a little bit smaller. Takes a minute. This is not a hard thing to do. You cut them, you cook them, throw them in a pan, you know, easy peasy. This is a little bit more of a involved recipe than I sometimes do. I was just trying to find something else to do with chicken breast. I was looking up chicken recipes, and I came across this, and I tried it before I did it. I made it once before, and it just was a big hit. Everybody loved it. So there, I got that all even out in the pan. So to that, we're going to put 1/2 of the ham, which I'm going to set this aside for a second. I haven't chopped my ham yet. I'm going to get my cutting board. And open up this package. We usually buy ham at the deli, but this time we just got the pre-packaged kind. So it's, I don't know. I just take a whole stack of it, and because you need 2 cups, so instead of cutting each slice, I just put it in a stack like this and cube it very small. So I'm just gonna go like that, about 1/2 inch cubes, and I'm just gonna cut it right up, and then like this, and then turn it around and cut the other way. So then that's how you get your nice, and if you do it the same way the other way, I hope it's showing up, you can see that in the video, right? And then you turn it and you cut it this way. If you do it the same size cubes going both ways, it's all cut the same size. Kind of just loosen it up a little bit and pour it into your measuring cup. See if that stack, if I eyeballed that right, if it gave me 2 cups. I don't think so. I'm going to do a little bit more. It's almost 2 cups. And there, sloppy gazish here, jumping it out on the counter. Missed the cup. Oh, no, wait a minute. It is getting there. I still have a little bit more to go. I think maybe just a couple more slices will take me to the 2 cup part. Well, that was pretty darn close guessing. It got it up to 1 3/4 cups. So I'm just going to take a couple more slices and do the same thing. Cut them evenly all around, and then stack them or turn them, however you want to do it, to go the other way, and cut them the same way, all the same size. And in the measuring cup, as you're putting them in the measuring cup, just kind of loosen them up a little so they're not sticky, don't have clumps of the ham instead of pieces here and there. You want it kind of spread out. So I'm going to move my cutting board out of the way, bring my pan back with the chicken in it. See, there's the cooked chicken. There we go. That's not going to look blurry. Oops, my other tablet was making everything look blurry. I hope this is going to come out better. Okay, so I've got 1/3 of a chicken in the layer, bottom layer. Then I'm going to do half the ham, which is 1 cup. So I'm just going to take it out and sprinkle it on top of the chicken. That also kind of loosens it up so you don't have big, like you don't want this. You don't want to have big clumps of it. You want to spread it, loosen it up and spread it out. And now look, see, there's a whole strip that I missed. I'm going to put that aside and I'll cut that up. I missed that whole strip cutting it. And we're going to do this until it gets down to the cup. There we go. Okay. So that is half. I'm just going to break this one up that I missed cutting. Give it a little spread. There we go. That's half the ham. Now, to that we want to sprinkle 1/4 of the cheese. So you have 2 1/4 cups of cheese, so you want 1/4 cup. So you want the 1/4 of the cup. I'm going to sprinkle over that. Okay. Alrighty. Now, and it says repeat 1 more time and finish with chicken. So apparently you put the chicken in, but you save a little bit. And then I see these pieces are a little bit too big, so as I put them in, I'm going to cut them up a little more. I did make them cubes, but they were a little bit too big of cubes. Alright, we're going to do all but just a little bit, and we're going to top it off so the chicken layer is on top. Kind of a silly way to word it. Repeat 1 more time, but end up with a chicken. Well, you started with a chicken, so how are you supposed to end up with a chicken? I guess you almost do it 3 times, but you don't put the other 2 ingredients. So we got the chicken, another layer of chicken, and it cuts really easy. Chicken breast is good. You don't have to use chicken breast. You can use any cut of chicken you want. It calls for chicken breast. I had it on hand, so I'm using it. But you can use chicken legs or thighs. Just cook them, cut the meat off the bone, and as long as you have 2 cups, for the equivalent of 4 chicken breasts, I'm thinking it would be about maybe 5-6 cups of chicken if they're cubed like this. I didn't really measure it out. I just cut it up. So okay, we got another layer, so that's our 2nd layer of chicken. So far, easy peasy. Cook the chicken, put it in, put a layer, and now we're going to put the last of the ham. That's going in. That's all spread out, and this is basically your chicken cordon bleu: cheese, ham, and chicken. And it's going to have a nice sauce. You can serve this with rice, with mashed potatoes, with noodles, whatever you choose for your side. So, and then we're going to put, okay, stir in 1 cup. So we put another 1/4 of a cup of cheese. I almost was going to put the whole amount, but then I realized I needed some for the sauce. So another 1/4 a cup of cheese. And and we want that, leaves us exactly 1 cup of cheese. That's exactly what we want. So we put that in. Got the ham, the cheese, and we're going to finish it off with the chicken, which I'm going to go ahead and cut up a few more chunks here, a little bit smaller. There's a couple of pieces that aren't done, but like I said, it's got to bake for 25-30 minutes, so any pieces that aren't fully cooked will get fully cooked. You're not going to be serving raw chicken. That's like one of the worst things you can do, is serve raw chicken. That's very bad for your health. Raw steak or rare. Now apparently you can serve pork when it's rare. I don't know. I was always drilled into my head when I was younger, when I was learning to cook, you never ever undercook pork. You always cook it completely, just like chicken. But apparently now it's acceptable. I still can't do it. I cannot bring myself to have like a rare pork chop. It's got to be done, right done. So Gordon Ramsay does it. I guess it's okay, but I'm not risking it. I want my meat to cooked. I don't want to get sick. So there we go. That's our last layer. Landed with the chicken. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to melt the last 5 tablespoons of butter in a saucepan. Get that up. 1, 2, 3. and 5. Put that on the stove and melt it. Okay, and we're going to put the breadcrumbs in a small bowl. Let's see, it calls for half a cup, so judge how big of a bowl you need. Half a cup of breadcrumbs. And container here, open it up. Alright, get a half a cup going on. There we are, half a cup of breadcrumbs in the bowl. And then we're going to put the breadcrumbs in the bowl. We're going to use half of that butter once it's melted. Won't take long. Give it a little stir. If you stir and kind of chop it up like this, it melts a lot quicker. Just give it a little hand there. So we want half of the butter, and we're going to put it in the breadcrumbs and set it aside. And then we're going to add the flour to the rest of the butter. Whisk out the lumps, mix in the broth and the milk. And now what I've done is I've got too small of a pan here, so I'm going to transfer this butter into a bigger pan. I'm going to pour half of it into my cup. So what I'm going to do is measure it first. I'm going to measure it out and see exactly how much 5 tablespoons equals when it's melted. And it equals to 1/3 of a cup. So I'm just going to pour half of that. A little more. And then I'm going to put the other half back into my bigger pan. I had a too small of a pan out, and it wouldn't have held all the rest of the ingredients that you need to put in. So I'm going to mix this butter and these breadcrumbs in. This is going to make like a crumb topping to go on top. You mix this together and set it aside, and that's what it looks like. You're going to put that on top of it all, and you're done. Okay, so to the butter that's in this saucepan, just going to take it off the heat for a second. I don't want it to burn. Okay, we're going to set aside. Now we're going to add the flour and whisk it to get all the lumps out. So it calls for 1/4 cup of flour. I'm going to grab my whisk. Okay, 1/4 cup of flour goes into the butter. You're almost like you're making a roux, like a white sauce. So we're going to whisk out the lumps, put it back on the heat, and just stir it till it's all together and the butter's melted and there's no lumps or bumps. We want it nice and creamy and smooth. So to that, we're going to mix in the milk broth, the mustard. I didn't get my mustard out, I missed that one. The milk broth, the mustard, and the salt and pepper and cayenne. So let me grab my mustard out. And we're just using regular yellow mustard. Don't use any hot mustard or anything. So we have to put in 2 cups of milk. 1 cup goes in. And 2 cups. Oh, just enough. I don't have to get another bag of milk out just yet. 2 cups of milk goes in. And 1 cup of chicken broth. I just buy the store brand. You can make your own, you know, just melt a couple of chicken bouillon cubes in some hot water. But this is really not that expensive, and when you use it, you just keep it in your refrigerator and it'll last quite a while. 1 cup of chicken broth goes into the milk. And 2 tablespoons of mustard. I believe that goes in. Let me just double check. Add, whisk out the mix in milk, broth, mustard, cayenne, salt, and pepper, and you cook it till it's smooth. So 2 tablespoons of mustard. There we go. And we're going to whisk this till it's nice and smooth. I'm just going to bring my camera up a little closer. You can see what I'm doing here. Get it raised up. just so you can see what I got going on in the pot. Not quite, a little higher. Okay, so again, take your whisk and you're gonna just keep stirring. You have it on a medium heat. You don't want it too high because then it'll get clumpy. And you want to whisk this up until it's pretty thick, just like you're making a white sauce for a cheese sauce. You know, the butter and the flour and the milk. If you were making homemade mac and cheese and you needed a cheese sauce. The only difference in this, it's got chicken broth and mustard, and it will have the cheese. So when this is, we're going to cook this and keep stirring until it's thick. Now I'm going to add the salt and pepper. Half a teaspoon of salt and pepper. And like I said, the cayenne is optional. I'm going to put in just a little teaspoon of paprika, just to give it the color. And it gives it a little bit of a flavor as well. So we're going to mix that in. We're just going to keep whisking till it gets thick. And when that gets all thick, you remove from the heat and then you stir in your cheese. So it's kind of just like a fancy cheese sauce. And then we're going to pour this over the casserole. And then the remaining cheese, and then the breadcrumb mixture, and then you bake it. That's really all there is to it. It's a pretty easy, straightforward recipe. There is a lot of ingredients and there's a few extra steps, but in the long run, it's going to be good. It's going to turn out really good. I hope everybody tries it and leaves me a comment below if you've tried any of my recipes. Let me know how they worked out for you. And there was one woman that commented, Elaine, I haven't forgot you. I'm going to go and buy the ingredients to make the better than sex in the pan pudding dessert. I looked it up and I don't have those ingredients at home, so I will have to go shopping and I will try it. I've heard of it, I've never tried it. So I will definitely get the ingredients for that and try it and make a video and show you how it looks. And hopefully mine will come out. You said yours was runny and it didn't work, so hopefully mine will come out. We can see how it's done. You know, once in a while you're going to make recipes, you're going to have a flop. It happens. There's not much you can do about, you know, it might still taste good, it might just not be looking the way it's supposed to look. But as long as it tastes good, you're all set. That's all that matters. So we're just going to keep giving this a stir. I did turn my heat up just a little bit because I'm kind of impatient. I like to, as long as you keep stirring it, you can have it on a higher heat. If you walk away from it, then it starts to boil, and that's the end of it. It gets clumpy and thick and gloppy, and you got to pretty much start all over. Because you can add more milk to thin it out if it gets too thick, but then it just kind of takes away the flavor the more stuff you add. It is starting to thicken up. It's doing all right here. So to this we're going to add, we're going to put in the cheese, and then we're going to pour the sauce over the casserole. Now it does say to pour, let's see, stir in 1 cup of the cheese and then remaining cheese. So again, so that equals out to your 2 1/4 cups. So we did a cup in the first, like half the cheese in the first layer, then in the second layer, then a cup into here. So then you're left with a bit more cheese, and you sprinkle it over, let it melt down over the casserole. So this is just about thickened. It's starting to get a lot hotter now. It's starting to thicken up. With cheese sauce, it's not hard by any means, but you have to watch it. You have to stay and pretty much whisk it the whole time. I have stirred it, kind of walked away and did like drain my pasta when I was making mac and cheese and come back to it, but you don't want to leave it for more than just a minute at the most without stirring, because that's when accidents happen. That's when it gets all gloppy, and it's sometimes fixable, but not always. Sometimes you just cannot fix that, and you have to start all over, which means all that milk and butter, and if you've already put the cheese in there, that's all gone to waste, and it's just wastefulness. But this is doing really well. It smells really good with the chicken broth and the mustard going on in there. It smells really, really good. So this is what we're having for supper tonight. We'll have this, and I'll probably do I think I'll do mashed potatoes. So that's always, you know, a nice side dish, and some vegetables. See what I have in the cupboard. You like to try to make a balanced meal. So in this casserole, we've got ham and cheese and chicken, and then the sauce over top of it, the cheese sauce over top of it, topped with breadcrumbs. So there's your protein, and you got the cheese and the ham from the ham and the cheese, the protein, and then, or the chicken, sorry, and then the ham is a little extra. Don't know how much protein is in it, but it's still protein. Well, according to this, for 2 slices, it is 8 grams of protein in 2 slices of ham, and I probably used about 7 slices, so there you go. And that's a fair bit of protein. But you want to have something with it. You want to just eat just this. You have to have a side. This is almost thickened. Seems like when you want to hurry up and get it done, it's taken forever because this is a little bit more liquid than you usually use in white sauce. In white sauce, you do flour and butter, equal amounts, and then your milk. And that's all there is. But this has got milk and chicken broth, and then the mustard. The mustard is not that liquidy, but it still adds to it. So, and if you stir it and you go like, turn your hand like this into a figure 8, it keeps it smooth and it keeps it mixed well. You can go back and forth, but it's just figure 8 seems to work out real well. That gets you in all the corners of the pan. So you just kind of picture yourself making the number 8 on a piece of paper. And it's just about thickened up really well. So I'm going to push this back a little, remove it from the heat when it gets just a titch more thick. And then we're going to melt the cheese into it, pour it over the chicken, pour the breadcrumbs over it, and pop it in the oven for 20 minutes. And there is dinner. There we go. That's it. It is just right. Turn off the heat. Set it aside. You know what? I think I'm just going to leave it on just a little bit extra. Get my spoon here just to see. Yeah, it just needs a little bit more. I did think it was thick enough, and then when I took it with a spoon and kind of held it up, and you see it runny, that's too runny. You don't want it that runny. You want it a little thicker. So this is like probably the hardest part of the whole recipe right here. Cutting up the chicken and cooking it, easy. Grating cheese, easy. Slicing up some ham, real easy. Putting it in layers, easy. This is the most time consuming of the whole recipe right here, is making your sauce. There we go. Now it's starting to bubble. You want it to boil, but not crazy boil. You want it just a little bit, and that helps it thicken. So there we go. Now we got it. Now it's nice and thick. So I will show you on the thing. You see how it's not real thick, but it's not thin either. Give it a good stir, and it's just nice. Before it was super watery. So I'm going to put a cup of the cheese in there that we had left over. And we're going to melt that right on in there, stir that in. And that melts instantly because the sauce is so hot. It melts it, and it also helps it to thicken up just a little bit more. So now we're going to take this nice, creamy, smooth sauce, and we're going to pour that all over our casserole. No lumps. A couple of you, if you saw something flying out of there, it was a little piece of the cheese that didn't dissolve all the way. It was not a lump of pepper. So we're going to just give that. Now, you don't want to stir it. You just want to make sure it's covered everything, spread it out. And now after we put the sauce on there, we put remaining cheese and then the crumb mixture. So I'm going to just sprinkle on my last 1/4 cup of cheese. There we go. Put that on there. And now the breadcrumbs that we have put aside, you're going to top it with the breadcrumbs. And that's going to give it a nice crispy little layer. You just take it and sprinkle it on. You want it really even. You don't want thicker spots of breadcrumbs than, have a real thick area and a real thin area. You want it nice and evenly spread. Sprinkle it on. Normally these recipes, when you make them up, it's always a little bit too much with the breadcrumbs. It comes out too much, but this is the exact right amount that you need. Half a cup with the butter mixed in it, and it's the exact amount that you need. So there it is, chicken cordon bleu casserole. It's pretty easy. A little more involved in a couple of the steps, but other than that. So I'm going to put this in the oven, and I will come back in 20 minutes and show you what it looks like. Pop it in, and I'll see you back in a couple minutes. Okay, so we're back. It has been 20 minutes, and I wanted to show you the finished product. There is your chicken cordon bleu casserole, just like that. I'm going to just plate up a little bit for you so you can see how delicious and yummy this looks. Nice and creamy, and so easy. I'd say the hardest part of this dish was making the cheese sauce, but there you go. There is what is for dinner tonight. Chicken cordon bleu casserole. I think I'll do rice. I said I was going to do mashed potatoes, but I think I'm going to switch it up. Serve this right on top of the white rice. That would be nice, because all the creamy sauce that's in this casserole will go out down into the rice. It'll taste so delicious. That and maybe some green beans or something. So leave a like, leave a comment to tell if you've tried it, how you liked it out. If you think you're going to try it, let me know. If there's anything you'd like to see me try, and I definitely will get to that pudding for Elaine, I promise. So just, if you're new to my channel, thank you very much for coming. If you're and hit the subscribe button. If you're already a viewer and a subscriber, thank you, and pass it on to all your friends to tell them to come on down to Grandma's Kitchen and see what's for dinner. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye now.